اللهم إنا نسألك علما لدني ومشربة وافيا الهني يا وهاب يا غني. اللهم إنا نسألك علما لدني ومشربة صافي الهني يا وهاب يا غني. وصلى الله على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين. آمين آمين يا رب العالمين. الحمد لله الحمد لله الحمد لله. Okay, actually Moniba asked me, do I doing Isra Miraj or but then they were saying like, you want to do Isra Miraj or I do whatever you guys want to do. If you want to do Isra Miraj and do Cox's to go. I have both of my hands. I'm okay with both. I'm okay to do both. It's perfectly fine with me.
Okay.
It's up to you.
Same for me. Whatever.
Do you want to do
Whatever
anything?
you think is best.
And if someone just requests something, and I will do that. Huh?
Top one.
The book of assistance. Okay. Okay. So you put this aside. Inshallah. Let's try to rush this aside. So we're done with Rajab. We're going to Sha'ban. MashaAllah. And then Ramadan. MashaAllah. MashaAllah. Alhamdulillah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for us to fast and to pray and to read the Quran, and may Allah make it easy for us to stay away from activities right that waste our time. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah for Tarim. Alhamdulillah for Tarim in a land that your time is used so well, mashallah. Right? I mean to actually, waste time or to sin in this town, you must really put in effort. And you really want to go and sin or waste time. Effort put in. Because it's like by default, it's just goodness all around you, and you just, if you go with the flow, you're just going into goodness all the time, and mashallah, even the, like I mentioned before, the slow internet is a blessing. You don't watch anything at all. It's so slow. Mashallah. So you just give up trying to do anything on the internet. It's a blessing, mashallah.
You should have your events.
It's a miracle.
Because the lineup was there.
Yeah, my events. Today what happened was that we went to so my event. Actually, if you want to know like what I do, you just follow my. I don't know if you can follow or not, but we have a WhatsApp group. I mean the Singaporeans like announcements for events and stuff like that, right? So so I'm still active on my da'wah in Singapore. still trying to keep up and be active in what was done to continue, it. Today we actually went to my brother's house to use Tasneem's modem, right? Because the signal there is stronger. But for some reason, we were doing it halfway. Then my brother's house, the electricity cut off. Just his house, nobody else's house, and we couldn't get it on. My brother has electricity, he has generator, he has a battery. She has like all three, things, and none of them worked. And so we literally, so Zainab just came. So Zainab was giving the kalima for my event, mashallah. And then she just came, and because I requested this morning, I just called her this morning and said, Zainab, are you free? Everything 12 and 2. I just for 10 minutes come and give a talk for the, for our event. It's for women and children, Isra Mi'raj. It's all in English. It was completely in English. There was no Arabic. Only so Zainab's talk was in Arabic and I translated, but the entire thing was in English, and we had the children read the stories. So we broke the stories into parts, right? And I had the kids, my students, train themselves on practice to read the stories of Isra and Mi'raj, right? So the other children could hear these children reading the stories of Isra and Mi'raj, and then in between the stories, right, so we broke up into 10 parts, Isra and Mi'raj. For the children, mashallah. And in between, there was reflections done on the stories by me, Suzah Banu, and by Anissa. So Anissa, me and Banu, we were doing the reflections in between. Right, so it was an event. It was basically an event for people outside of that. Right, but mashallah.
It's recorded.
Yeah, it's actually recorded, but they only recorded my voice because I didn't know. I know Banu was actually okay with her voice. Anissa, I didn't ask her, right? But I told my students who was recording it that don't record the people of Tarim, right? So and I meant Zainab. Actually, but they stopped recording at all the my voices. So whenever they heard somebody else's voice, they stopped recording. Right, so it was only my voice. My students, mashallah, Allah bless them.
Samina
so
wa ata'na,
Yeah, mashallah.
what's that?
Samina wa ata'na.
That's it. So anyone they don't recognize, they just don't record. Mashallah. So I was like, halas. No, mashallah.
So even the children.
No, children they
Anisa's
recorded.
children,
Anisa's children they recorded. Yes, the kids they recorded. Yeah, mashallah, mashallah. And then Zainab at the end, she gave a kalima on Isra and Mi'raj for the children. She gave a kalima for the children, and I just translated it for the children. But it was, and then there was a quiz, Isra and Mi'raj quiz. top 3 who got full marks. Fastest 3 he get full marks for the quiz, get surprise. Because now everything's online, so you can just order something through a platform, Shopee or whatever, and send it over. You can just do that, right? And so I could send them gifts from where I'm at. Subhanallah. It's a full online event with the kids. There were about 200 kids that came on. 200. Yeah, mashallah. So his testing cut off, and then so we didn't know what to do. So eventually we just took his car. My brother drove us back to my house to use mileage. So Zara just followed us. She just followed us around. She's such a sport, mashallah.
Ustazah, if it's too cold forever, we can also be here.
I'm okay. I'm not cold. I'm okay.
We're enjoying the breeze.
Yeah, it's quite nice. The
It was
temperature's
colder
nice.
in Isra's house.
Top, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, is it? It's nice. It's nice. Yeah,
Yeah, it is
mashallah.
very nice.
Mashallah. So I think I'll look into the recordings because Banu gave very good reflections. No, mashallah.
Yeah,
but
we
it's just
attended
that my
the-
student.
We attended her Isra Mi'raj in
Yeah.
Maria's house. It was
Yeah,
amazing.
mashallah.
It was short, but it filled up those gaps that you stopped at. It filled up those gaps.
Mashallah,
You can never
mashallah.
get enough.
Yeah, but she has like podcasts and stuff like that. Right, so you can ask her. She sent me her podcast and then she said don't spread it.
Okay.
So you can go and like see, but she has like podcasts and stuff like that that's done. You can ask her about, I don't know. So inshallah. Okay, alhamdulillah. So we're going on in our book of assistance, right, inshallah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. وبه نستعين على كل أمور الدنيا والدين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا وحبيبنا وشفيعنا ونور قلوبنا وقرة أعيننا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. نوينا تعلم وتعليم وتذكر وتذكير ونفع وانتفاع والإفادة والاستفادة والحث على التمسك بكتاب الله وسنة رسوله صلى الله عليه وآله وصحبه وسلم ودعاء إلى الهدى ودلالة على الخير ابتغاء وجه الله ومرضاته وقربه وثوابه سبحانه وتعالى مع لطف وعافية برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم إنا نسألك علم لدني ومشرب الصافي الهني وهاب يا غني. اللهم إنا نسألك علم لدني ومشرب الصافي الهني يا وهاب يا غني. اللهم إنا نسألك علم لدني ومشرب الصافي الهني يا وهاب يا غني. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين. Ameen. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. We're continuing with the book of assistance, right? And we are on a chapter of yaqeen, a chapter of certainty, right? And he says, قال المؤلف رحمه الله تعالى ونفعنا الله به وبعلومه في الدارين. And so he says, may Allah have mercy on his soul, from the book ورثة المعاونة والمظاهرة والمؤازرة للراغبين من المؤمنين في سلوك طريق الآخرة. الإمام شيخ الإسلام قطب الدعوة والإرشاد الحبيب عبد الله بن علوي الحداد الحضرمي الشافعي رحمه الله تعالى ونفعنا الله به وبعلمه في الدارين. From the book of mutual assistance, encouragement and support for those who desire from amongst the believers to tread the path of the Akhirah, by the great scholar, the Sheikh of Islam, and he is the pillar of da'wah and of righteousness, Al-Habib Abdullah bin Alawi Al-Haddad Al-Hadrami Al-Shafi'i. And inshallah this Friday we'll go for Sambal. Okay, inshallah, because we've been reading his book and we're not going to see him. Right, so inshallah this Friday after Asar, and we can go right, to Sambal eventually. Inshallah, because like so many things going on one after another. By the time coming to Sha'ban, it's like Ramadan, mashallah. which is very fast, mashallah. So inshallah Friday will be the best time. It's the first week of Sha'ban. Sha'ban comes in on Tuesday, is it? Tuesday Sha'ban. No, today is what day? Today is 28, 29, 30, Wednesday, Tuesday night. Tuesday night is Sha'ban. So Wednesday day is mashallah. Okay, tamam. Right, so Imam Al-Haddad, right, so we went into the importance, right, of strengthening someone's yaqeen, right? And what is yaqeen? It is the strength of someone's iman, right, someone's faith, and it being deeply embedded in an individual, right? And that a person is and the shaitan is unable to shake, right, or to cause doubt to someone who has yaqeen. Are we on the correct page? Okay. Yeah, I think we're there, right?
Yes.
We began the chapter, right? Yes. And we began. So we are actually here. What you ويقوي اليقين ويحس and so to strengthen yaqeen, right, and to make it better, to improve it, right, there are several ways of increasing your yaqeen. So we spoke about earlier the importance of yaqeen. Right, it means the importance of certainty in this religion. Right, to have certainty without any doubt. Right, because shaitan will come from that way. Right, he will make you doubt. I spoke about this during the Aqidah classes. Right, about how shaitan came, and then there was a hadith that I shared whereby for surely it was Iblis atakum yushakikukum fi dinikum. Right, whereby he ended the hadith saying that was Iblis. He came to make you doubt about your religion. And that is the game of Iblis. Right? So he begins by first whispers. So the game of Iblis, right, the path, right, of Iblis is first is whispers. Right, waswasa. It becomes waswasa. So he whispers and he whispers and he whispers. If a person does not address or counter the whispers of Iblis, right, if you don't counter Iblis' whispers, right, then they turn into shak. And they turn into doubt, right? So then the doubt will grow and grow and grow in the person. If this person does not address the doubt, or counter it, or get someone to help them to counter it, it will move into kufr. Right? They go into disbelief altogether. And that is how Iblis works. And Iblis, what he does is that, he will whisper into a person, and he will make it such that the person will not even detect that he's there. So they think that it's their own thoughts, it's their own, it's from them. And they'll think that. And that's how the enemy works. And the enemy doesn't want to be detected. The best way to attack is to attack without being detected. So you won't even know that Iblis is there, bothering you. But he's there. So he goes from whispers to doubt to disbelief altogether. And that is why it is important for a believer that if you are being bothered by all these whispers in your heart about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because he goes right there. He aims directly at Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right, to create a rift between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to create, negative emotions, to create, negative feelings with you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is his game. Right? So the one bond or the one relationship that he wants to destroy is that of yours and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is where he wants to come in, right? So if someone were to be experiencing whispers, right, of this nature, right? So for example, it will begin with questioning first. So things happen in life, right, and it can lead to people, being upset about a decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you spoke about aqidah, right? You can get upset and things happen to you in life, right? So Iblis comes in this angle, right, and he begins to make you question Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala while you have no position to question, of course. You are slave, he is Lord. Right? There's no position for you to question. But Iblis will come in this way. And makes you question and question and question. Which is why that those who disbelieve in God, there is an air of arrogance. Right? If you speak to those who disbelieve in God, there is an air of arrogance. Because to actually turn away from God, there has to be some form of arrogance in a person thinking they know better than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Subhanallah. So he does it in this way. So of course, so we know his game and he's doing this. So now comes the solution. How do I increase my yaqeen? So I don't want, first and foremost, I don't want to be subjected to his games. His games. Secondly, Right? An increase in yaqeen will translate to an increase in deeds, in actions. And I want that. I want, I want that, I believe, strongly about the night prayers. I believe strongly about Quran. I believe strongly about, the Sunnah prayers. I believe strongly in a lot of things. Right? So I want that these things become, clear in front of my eyes, right? Such that I would never leave them, no matter what. Right? So it all goes back to yaqeen. And that is where istiqamah comes from. Istiqamah meaning to be continuous on a good deed. To be upright and continuous on a good deed. It comes because you have clarity, and you have certainty that this is what I want to do, and I want these results. MashaAllah, and I want this benefit from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? So you're looking to increase your yaqeen, your certainty. So the first thing that he says here, منها وهو الأصل والذي عليه المدار. Right? So the first way, right, to
Sorry, I have to leave because my husband have a class at 8.
oh mashallah. Okay, so the first one, which is the origin, right, and everything is it will circle around it, right, which is an yusghi al-abd بقلبه وأذنه إلى استماع الآيات والأخبار الدالة على جلال الله تعالى وكماله وعظمته وكبريائه وانفراده بالخلق والأمر والسلطان والقهر وعلى صدق الرسل وكمالهم وما أودوا به من المعجزات وما حل بمعانده من أنواع العقوبات وما ورد في اليوم الآخر من إثابة المحسنين ومعاقبة المسيئين. Right, so he says here, right, that the first one, and that is the origin of everything, right? That is the asl, right, of how do you increase your yaqeen. It is to listen, okay, to listen with your heart and your ears, right? Listen attentively. That yusghi, right, it is something that is a word that is more than just yasma' or yastami'. In Arabic, you have the word yasma', which is to hear. Then you have yastami', which is to listen. Then you have the word yusghi, which is to really pay attention and to ponder. Means you're listening really deeply. So these are different words, right? That is used, right, for the different levels of listening, right, to something. Right. So in this, so the first one is just the organ, the ear being used. So you hear sounds. In asma, so I hear a sound. And astami' ila al-ustaz. I'm listening to the ustaz. I'm hearing what he's saying. I'm understanding with my mind. When I use an usghi ila al-Quran, that means I am having it come into my heart. Right. So second one goes into your mind. Third one, it goes into your heart. And the first one is only on your eardrums. Right. Second one, it goes into your mind, where you think about what's being said. Right? And the third one goes into your heart, right, whereby you internalize, right, the message is being brought to you. You ponder about it. You wonder what's the. I see your face. You have a question?
No, I was just wondering if you can repeat the different words.
The different words. Okay. So it is sama',
Yeah.
astami',
Astami'.
and asghi. Asghi.
How did you know I had a question?
Asghi.
Is it spelled C?
It is usghi. It is sod and ghain. Right. So sagha asgha yusghi. Asgha yusghi. Saghaya. Okay. Tamam. That will be the word. Right. So that is whereby you listen with your heart. So he says to do that biqalbihi wa uzunihi, with his heart and his ears. You need to go deep into this, to the verses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the hadith, that point to the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the first way of increasing your yaqeen, of increasing your certainty, right, is to listen attentively, deeply with your heart, your emotions, your iman. Listen to what Allah has to say in the Quran, which brings us to the fact that we must be reciting the Quran. And if you're unable to recite, then also have a portion of listening to the Quran. You know, macam Darul Mustafa Radio, every morning they play Surah Baqarah. And without fail, after all the hour is done, Surah Baqarah starts on the radio. You know, mashallah. So every day they play Surah Baqarah, and the people here, it is part of their wirid. They read Baqarah on a daily basis. The entire surah. It is part of their habit, and they do it in half an hour. The whole Baqarah do it in half an hour, mashallah.
Are we allowed to ask during the daf?
Huh?
Are we allowed to ask questions during?
Yes.
Is it okay to play Quran if you're like busy in the house? Would you need to be listening to it?
It's okay as long as you're not speaking over the Quran. Right? So and you're listening in the sense you're hearing it. You're hearing the Quran being recited. Yeah, you can. As long as no one's like speaking over the Quran. And in fact the ruling is as long as one person is listening to the Quran. One person has to be listening. Right, so if like for some people, they play the Quran and no one's listening, and people are just doing their own stuff. At least one person has to be listening to the Quran. And even some scholars even say that in a time whereby people don't hear the Quran anymore, so they just play it, because people don't even hear it anymore. Mashallah. But of course, it should be that one person listens to it. It is makruh for shops, to play the Quran, because a shop is a place where you buy and sell and you talk and you discuss and so on, right? But some of the scholars have said that we're in a time whereby people are just so far from the Quran. So whatever you can do to bring people close to the Quran, you just do it.
Some of the shops when we go, they're actually listening, right? But
they are listening.
Then when we walk in, they will turn it down.
Mashallah. There are those. Like you can hear Darul Mustafa guard, Darul Zahra guard. There's this guy outside, right?
Yes.
He sits there with his radio.
Mashallah.
So he has this radio on, and he's always listening something. Mashallah. I mean, it's really a society it's really amazing what has happened here.
Yes.
There's a whole society of people on dhikr. It's amazing that to find an entire society.
I just wanted to share that there was once I was looking for Musalla Aisha. I think we didn't know how to get there, and then we had to stop to ask this Amul, and he was manning his shop, and he was sitting with a Quran. He was one of those old Amu, and so we stopped the car, and my future son-in-law, he actually wound down and asked him. So he was like, I don't hear you. So he actually carried his Quran closely, come to us and listen. What is it that you're looking for? So it was so amazing to see that side.
It's a different world going on here. You go any part of the world, you don't find this kind of thing. entire community, mashallah, of what has happened, even the common person, mashallah. Allah. So the first one, it is to listen attentively with your heart, right, to the verses and the akhbar. Akhbar would be the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that point to the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So specifically ayat in the Quran that speak about Allah's creation. إن في خلق السماوات والأرض واختلاف الليل والنهار لآيات لأولي الألباب. So all this kind of verses about the skies and the heavens and the earth and the mountains and the seas and so on. It is for us to listen to what Allah has to say to us about His creation, and that will increase you in your yaqeen. How? Because in fact, it is natural for a human being that when you go out to nature, you will believe in God without having to hear any proofs. Mashallah. This is the story of one of the mashayikh, Sheikh Fakhruddin al-Razi, whereby he's a great sheikh, and he had written about 1,000 proofs on the existence of God. So there was once, they were walking through a street, and his students, sometimes the sheikh, mashallah, the sheikh is really mashallah. Sometimes the students are overzealous. The students, and so the students, like, oh, our sheikh is coming, our sheikh is coming, you know, and then so they walked ahead of the sheikh, and they were clearing the street. Like, make way for our sheikh, make way for our sheikh, he's coming, the great sheikh Fakhruddin Al-Razi is coming, right? And then there was an old woman there who was walking by the street, you know, and they said, you know, old lady, go to the side, because our sheikh is coming. And then the lady said, what's so great about your sheikh? And then she said, our sheikh Fakhruddin Al-Razi, don't you know him? And she said, no, I don't know him. What's so great about him? Tell me about him. And she said, and they said, he was the one who wrote 1,000 proofs for the existence of God, right, of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the old lady said, does God need 1,000 proofs for his existence? Does he need 1,000 proofs for his existence? Isn't it that the footprints of a camel tell you there's a camel around? Right? Isn't it that this entire universe tell you there's a God somewhere? Right? I mean, there's a God around. You know, mashallah. And then the news reached Fakhruddin Al-Razi, and he raised his hand and he said, Ya Allah, give us the iman of old women. And the old people, they have an iman. There's wisdom. That the young people, you need all these proofs. The old people, we believe. Mashallah. You know, you tell them one act of worship, they're on it. They do it till they die. You know, we're like, doing it, not doing it, doing it, not doing it. You know, mashallah. The elderly have a you know, yaqeen that is different, mashallah. Mashallah. My grandmother who has passed away, she told me, the day she heard about the hadith of Sayyidina Bilal's footsteps in paradise, you know, every time he would break his wudu, he will perform wudu and pray 2 rakats. From that day, she heard the hadith at a masjid when she was a teenager. Till that point when she was talking to me, she was an old woman, she never left 2 rakats after wudu. Ever. MashaAllah. Every single time, right? She breaks her wudu, she would take her wudu. And she will pray 2 rakats specifically for sunnah wudu. But for me, I joined it every else. I combine it with all that, because you can combine, the Shafi Masjid can combine intentions. So I combine with my Qabliya, I combine with everything basically. But my grandmother, she would pray mustaqil. She would pray specifically 2 rak'ats. Right, I think no one ever knows can combine. But mashallah, her you know, her energy, and as an old woman, she never left it, you know, mashallah. She never left the fasting of Monday and Thursday her entire life, as far as I know. Ever. Never left the fasting Monday and Thursday. Never left praying Surat Tasbih. Through the year, she would pray every Friday night. Tahajjud through the year, never left it. I know her habits, because we live together, so I know like what are her habits. And this is like constant, never left, not missing a stride. You know, mashallah, on days of wedding, when there's a wedding, when if it's Eid, if it's whatever's going on, she never leaves it. SubhanAllah, there are people who are like that. You know, they're consistent, and that is the secret of their piety, of their righteousness. You know, mashallah. So the first thing is to listen to the Quranic verses and the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam on this, and on the perfection and the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, of his immensity, right, of his uniqueness, right, that he is the one who created the creation, and it is his commandment and his sultan, his authority, right, and his wal qahr, right? Qahr will be Allah's like the word qahr would mean Allah has imposed it on the creation, right? That's from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? And also to ponder over the truthfulness or verses, or you know, hadith that point to the truthfulness of the prophets, right? To learn about the prophets, to see how truthful they are. All of these things will increase you in your yaqeen, in your certainty, when you learn about the proofs of prophethood of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When we just went through Isra and Mi'raj, when you go through Isra and Mi'raj, and you ponder over the stories in Isra and Mi'raj, and you see that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has exalted our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam beyond, you know, above any prophet ever. Is the one prophet who was brought by his physical body, and all the way up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to speak to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he was the one who was shown the horrors of the hellfire. He was shown that, and he was shown the magnificence of paradise. Mashallah, Isra and Miraj. So no other prophet got this. So it is why it is on us, to look at these narrations and to ponder. To look at the narrations of his, life, of what happened to him before Isra and Miraj. To look into his childhood and to ponder of how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protected him all the way. To go into his, the revelation and what happened, and the support from his wife, and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had prepared Sayyidah Khadija, just as a gift for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to be his support and his guide, mashallah, mashallah. And then later on in his life in Medina and so on, it is on us to reflect on all these things, and then also go into other prophets, and Nabi Ibrahim, Nabi Musa, Nabi Isa, and so on. All of these things will make us understand that this is the absolute truth, and there's no way around this. And because from the first prophet to the last prophet, they all say the same thing. There is one God, you're on a stage, there's a hereafter. One thing they tell us, it's one thing, one reality, you are being tested. You're on this stage, you're being tested. So wake up. Stop wasting your time. Stop, going into things that don't matter. Stop thinking about things that is gonna have your life be wasted away. This thing when you go back to right now in Tarim, right? We're so in this like cave or this shell in Tarim. And when you go back to your countries, you will meet people, right? Whereby their hum and their gham, right? Their worries and their distress, and you're wondering, hey, you only have how many more years? Like maybe 10 more years, 20 more years. There's no time for all this, worry and anxiety and all these issues. But it sounds very insensitive to say these kind of things to them. But the fact of the matter is, yes, if you're told you only have 5 more years to get it right before you die, you're like, so many things are irrelevant, completely irrelevant. And you won't even like, why am I worried about this thing? Mashallah, 5 more years to live. For all you know. Mashallah, last year, my neighbor who lived upstairs collapsed while he was cycling, and he passed away in 2 weeks. And he was 27 years old. 27. And suddenly, like, he would have never imagined that was his last year. Nobody imagines this is your last year. Right? For all you know. Right? People who are as young as they are, for all you would never think it's your last year. Right? Anyone. Death does not discriminate between ages. And if you look at the entire death, the statistics of death across all ages, there is no such thing as more elderly die. No, it's really the same. There is no difference, right? Whether the possibility of every age of you dying, it's the same possibility. There is no difference, absolutely no difference. Subhanallah.
I lost somebody.
Yeah, subhanallah.
Her age.
Yeah, her age. Subhanallah. It's really, when I was here in Tarim, I lost my cousin. One of my cousins passed away. When I was here in 2015, she passed away. She's 1 year younger than me. So it was a sudden death. So it's kind of things like, if you're told you have 1 more month, that's it. 1 more month, you're told. 1 more month and you're done with this world, with this dunya. And this is why death is to be your best friend. Rasulullah make a death your best friend, meaning remember death often. Because death is the one that puts things in position, in place. So when you have all these grievances, you have all these issues, all this fighting, all these worries, all this whatever, people might go through, put death in front of your face. If this is coming to me tomorrow, or you say at the end of the week or the end of the month, all of what I am doing is of no worth. Mashallah. Or if it's of worth, alhamdulillah, then good for you. Mashallah. So there's a yaqeen. So in the Quran, Allah says, hatta, Muhammad, ayat, hatta, tanal yaqeen. And then Surah Najm. The ayat goes and pray to your Lord until yaqeen comes to you. Surah Najm kan, at the end of Surah Najm. Hatta tanal yaqeen. Atana. Selalu no atakal yakin. Kira ada ayat, is ayat. Find the ayat. I think it's Surah Najm, if I'm not wrong. Do you see it? Can you get the ayat out before? Is it Surah Najm? No. No way. Surah Qamar, is it? It is Surah Qamar, is it? No, I'm thinking which surah it is. I find it. Do you find it? Do you know the ayat that I'm talking about?
Have to have the words.
At the end of not there also. Hatta dan yakin. What was before that? At the end of a surah, is it? At the end of a surah? Surah? No, another surah. It's another surah. There's another surah. Basically, there's another surah whereby it goes, if I'm not wrong, it goes, so continue to pray to your Lord until yaqeen comes to you. And the word yaqeen there means death. Like death, until death comes to you. And it's continue to pray to your Lord until, so the word yaqeen is used to mean death. Right? Because why? In this dunya, the only one thing that every human being can say for sure will happen to them in this dunya is death. Right? Nobody can promise you get married. You can't. Right? No one promise you have children. Can't. No one will promise you that you will grow to an old age. Can't. So nothing in this life is yaqeen. Nothing. Right? Nothing in your old age is nothing we promise to you. A job, no. Even your sanity, no. Right? Even your health, no. Right? Nothing is guaranteed for you except what? Death. That's the only thing we know will actually happen. Nothing else. Right? Everything else is it could happen, it couldn't happen. Right? MashaAllah. Ya Allah, allow us to prepare ourselves for it. Subhanallah.
Surah Hijr.
Surah Hijr, ya? Dia Nabi Zat?
Wa'bud rabbaka hatta
Yes. Naam, wa'bud rabbaka hatta
ya'tiyakal yaqin.
Ya'tiyakal yaqin. Naam, that's the Surah Hijr. From the Surah ayat. Right, so worship your Lord until yaqeen comes to you. Right, meaning worship your Lord until death comes to you. If you go into the tafsir, they will say yaqeen, yani al-maut. Right, death, until death comes to you. MashaAllah. Na'am. Right, so then, subhanAllah. Right, so then, and to this, right, so to go into the stories of the prophets, right, and fully, right, and to see how they were assisted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to go into their mu'ajizat, right, the miracles of all the prophets. It is actually wajib, compulsory on Muslims to learn the miracles and to never ever ever allow for anyone to whisper that there's some scientific explanation behind the miracles. Don't. I think this spoils everything. People trying to go scientific on miracles. It's gonna spoiling it for us. Let it be a miracle. Khalas. Don't tell me what's the physics behind the Isra and the Mi'raj and the whatever. No, it was an animal who could put his hand far away and he could fly. Right? And then there was this golden stair from the heavens that came down. So don't tell me about all these electromagnetic waves and then the burak was actually a lightning and whatsoever. No, I don't want to hear all that. Right, just khalas, it's what it is. Okay, it's what it is.
They can fancy things like Harry Potter, but can accept.
Yeah, they can accept things like Harry Potter and all this magical stuff. But when you speak about Rasulullah, even to those who are saying that there are those who say that his night journey was physical, but him going up to the heavens was only his ruh that went. It was only his ruh that went. There wasn't special about that. Right? People's ruh go up all the time. MashaAllah. It's not something distinguished. Right? His physical body went. Right? And as Muslims, we must believe that. You can't allow for people to tell you, it was his ruh. Or to say, it's not possible for his physical body to go. No, it's possible. Allah can do anything He wants to do. MashaAllah. Right? So don't allow for them to say that And there are those who will say, they'll try and discount the miracles of prophets. So they will say, oh, Nabi Musa's when he split the sea, oh, it was low tide. So no, low tide and sea split are two different things. I've read this kind of things. It's complete rubbish. Right? Because they can't wrap their mind around the miracle of a sea being split. Right? But it's so different. It's so different. A low tide is a low tide, for goodness sake. And a sea split is a sea split. Have you seen the sea that he split? It's a deep sea. Subhanallah. I went there when I was traveling years ago. Right, from Syria. We had like a trip from Syria down to my family, from Syria down to Jordan to Sinai, and Jordan they went down into Egypt. All by land. It was a land trip. It was amazing trip, mashallah. And you see all the maqams of the prophets and everything. Years ago when I was in university, because my sister, my cousin was studying in Syria. Right, so I went to see her first to visit Samardia, and she was there 2009. Long time ago, before the war, before everything. It was all nice and calm. 2009. So we went to see Syria. It was so beautiful. Then we drove from Syria. We drove into Jordan, right? And we drove through Jordan to see all the maqams of the prophets, right? And then we drove. So we drove. We reached a place whereby the sea split. So they have a ferry across. So if you take a ferry across that mass of water, right? It is a mass of water. It's a lot of water there. Mashallah. No way it could be a low tide. Mashallah. It's not even the sea to be a low tide. It's a lot of water. Mashallah. So you go take a ferry across. We're up to Sinai. We climb Mount Sinai. It is very high. Mashallah. Me and my sister, Sarah. And we climbed up. Young girls like that, young 2009. How long ago was that? Still in our youth. Climbed up. Huh?
He was born 2008.
2008. You're right, your son. Oh, we climbed up the mountain, mashallah, with my sister, and it was so dangerous in the sense that we two young girls climbed up by ourselves because my parents didn't want to bother, right, going up because the mountain, and we really want to go up the mountain. Right, so we just climbed by ourselves, and there were like people around, there were men around, everything. We was happily Singaporeans. You think that no one's gonna harm you in Egypt, right? No one's gonna rob you, no one's gonna hurt you. And now I look back, I'm like, what were we thinking? Right, because really, we climbed up and we went down like really like secluded places, isolated places. Climbing up and down, nobody was there. It's two of us running around. Right, alhamdulillah, Allah protected. Now if I look back, I'm like, I'm not going to do it. I will never let my daughter do that. I did it.
But it's a secret.
Yeah, but I mean, there were so many men around. You don't know who would harm these young girls.
Yeah.
Right, well, I would not allow my daughter to do it, but I did it. Me and my sister, two of us. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. But it was a trip, it was a 3-week trip that took my parents. But it was, to go through the athar, what is left behind by prophets. Right, to see the graves of prophets and so on. My mother really wanted to go into Jerusalem at the time, but we couldn't get in. At the time, I think something was going on, we couldn't get in. But my mother eventually went to Jerusalem. My mother said it was her dream to always go to Jerusalem. Right, so she eventually had her, before the COVID, she managed to get herself in Jerusalem. And no, mashallah, my mother, she has her something intense. She wants to see Masjid Al-Aqsa. She gets herself there. Mashallah. I've not gone to Masjid Al-Aqsa. Inshallah, yet, one day go and see Al-Aqsa. Inshallah. Right, so to go through all of these things, right, and to see the maqams and to see the athar, right, the remnants, to see how Mount Sinai, how it was, and in the place where Nabi Musa alayhi spoke to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you go down and you see where he split the sea and so on, and you come to Egypt, right? So Egypt, of course, it's the entire thing of the pyramids and so on. Of course, like now where I'm at, I will not go to the pyramids because it is like Ziarah Firaun. You know the Ziarah Firaun, right? You're going to Ziarah Firaun's kubo. The qabr of Firaun. And he's not there in his pyramid anyway. It's in the museum. They took his body out and they put him in the museum, right? But in a sense, the pyramids are a symbol of oppression, oppression and tyranny. That's what they are, right? So we don't celebrate them, right? Because how were they built, right? Really through cruelty, under the Bani Israel. That's what they were doing, right? So we don't celebrate them, and it's a place of it's a la'na. It's a place of curse, the curse of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, on these places. So, but we go to the prophets, and where the prophets are at, we visit their graves as far as we can. The righteous, the awliya, the salihin. Like Egypt would be the Princess Hussein, Imam Hussein. Right? And Sister Anisa, who is our teacher for Fiqh Tahawulat, Habib Abu Bakar's niece. She was saying to us that Habib Abu Bakar, his entire life, he always dreamt of going to Cairo, Egypt. He always wanted to go to Egypt, right? But when he was young, as a young man, he asked his father, can he go to Al-Azhar and study, in Cairo? And his father said, go to Habib Abdul Qadir al-Sagaf and ask him, his opinion, right? So whatever Habib Abdul Qadir al-Sagaf says, you do. Habib Abdul Qadir al-Sagaf is the big wali. If you see his face, he's a very popular face. You'll see him around. But in his time, he was the only one qutub. Right? Like in other zamans, there can be a few qutubs. Right? Like his time, he was the one qutub. Right? Allahu Alam, he was said in that way. So Habib Abdul Qadir al-Sagaf, when Habib Abu Bakr al-Alami came, right, to speak to him, and to ask him, he said, I want to go to Cairo, right, to further my studies. And Habib Abdul Qadir al-Sagaf looked at Habib Bakr al-Alami, and he said to him, tomorrow, bring your hadith book and sit with me. No response to the request. Just, tomorrow, bring your hadith book, sit. Right, so khalas. So the next day he came with his hadith book and he said from Habib al-Qadir al-Sagaf, right? And he began learning from Habib al-Qadir al-Sagaf, and he forgot all about Cairo. He forgot about Al-Azhar, he forgot about the whole thing, he forgot about it. And he spent the rest of his youth studying at the feet of Habib al-Qadir al-Sagaf. Right? And it was through Habib al-Qadir al-Sagaf that he got his opening for Fiqh Tahawulat. There's an entire story about it, of how he got the opening. When he was looking at the hadith, he asked Habib al-Qadir al-Sagaf all the questions, and he said, and he affirmed the understanding of Habib Abu Bakr al-Adani, and then he said, do research. You do research. So when he did research into all this hadith about all the fitnas and the end of time and so on, Allah opened up for him an entire knowledge. That came, mashallah. But he never went to Cairo. So the Anisa said towards the end of his life, he passed away last year, right? He actually went to Cairo. Because he was going to go to Jordan, they actually dropped by Cairo, right? And he went to visit Cairo. Imam Hussein and Imam Shafi'i is there, and Imam Busiri is there. They have great imams are in Cairo, right? And then she texted him and she said to him, finally you got to Cairo. Finally you visited Egypt. And then he was like, yes, finally Allah brought me here. And my whole life, so at the end of his life, right, he finally stepped foot, in Cairo. He always wanted to go to Cairo. Mashallah, he never did. Mashallah, was at the end of his life, mashallah. And then he went to Jordan, that was where he passed away. And that was the trip he passed away from. And they sent him back to Tarim to be buried, mashallah. Mashallah, she told us a lot of stories about his last year, right, of his life on this earth. And really like how many openings Allah gave him on this knowledge of the end of times. Mashallah. If you hear the story, you'll be like, this is really Allah's, like Allah is Allah's assistance, and Allah pushing for something to happen. That someone needs to formulate this, right, and then to spread it, right, to the masses. Mashallah. Anyway, we were speaking about so look at the mu'jizat, at the miracles of prophets, and also the miracles of the awliya, the karamat. These are all the awliya. They are an extension of the prophets. Because why? They are the inheritors of prophets. So they are an extension. So in our belief in our Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam comes our belief in the awliya, right? In the wali, because as the Prophet said that they are inheritors of prophets, the ulama and the awliya. So we don't see that the miracles stop with the death of the Prophet. There is no more miracles. Then people at enough times, well, what do we see? Mashallah. We need to we also have gifts in our zaman as well. mashallah. Right. وَمَحَلَّ and the type of punishment that comes for whomsoever who goes against it, who are stubborn against it, and what has come about the day of judgment, right? And the reward Allah has promised, right? Those who are doers of good, and the punishment that Allah has threatened for those who are doers of evil. Right, so and this is where Isra and Miraj comes in. You go into all of the hadith of the rewards of those who do good, and the hadith of the rewards of those, or of the punishment of those who do evil. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billahi al-ali al-azim. Okay, alhamdulillah, we'll stop there for today, inshallah. Are there any questions?
Yes.
No questions.
Yeah.
No questions, okay.
So, in New Zealand, we always have this issue where we, celebrate events like Isra Miraj, right? So I'm still on the New Zealand group, so I knew that this was coming, but that time
Every year, is it?
Every year, there's always
You don't
something.
get bored. I get bored. I'm getting bored. Every year, Maulid, same thing.
Always.
Then Isra
There's
Miraj.
always something.
Then Nisfu Shaban. Then
Right.
Muharram. Right?
I-
Then the standard things.
There's always Maulid. I got it left, right, center. I'm the key person of Darul Quran, so I have to take
And
the.
every single year. Come on. That's more.
No, because the Salafis in New Zealand, it's like.
But don't they get tired? I mean, like, okay, you've done your argument. Okay, halas. We're not listening. Right? Is there any
So,
question?
I wanted to know like the story of Isra Miraj, right? Like this lady, she I don't want to get angry, but sometimes I just
I think it's come to the point where it's laughable. It's not even.
So she says
that
that Isra Miraj took place and there is no Sahih Hadith on this. So where are we getting our story from? Besides the ayah in the Quran, where are we getting this whole story?
to search the hadith collections. Sirah, because the Sirah basically brings in hadiths that are authentic. Right? So they don't. In fact, Sirah, they ensure, right, that the specific hadith that come in with Sirah, right, there is a level of authenticity when you speak about the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Right? So research, basically research. Right? So when people ask our questions, right, I would just say to them, right, open up the hadith books, you'll find it there. Just throw the ball back in their court. Don't make me open the hadith books. I'm happy with the hadith. I don't have to do my research. I am happy with how it is. You want to have proof, you go and open the books and read it yourself. Like, in a sense, read yourself. Do your own research. Like, sometimes, on both ends. So even when the Salafis come and all these questions, where are the proofs of the proofs? You say, it is in the books, you can go and do your own research. It's open. Pick up the books, read yourself. Right. Do your research.
The irony of someone saying there's no Sahih Hadith on this.
Right?
Like, oh, when did you study all the Hadith books?
Yeah, when?
I asked
How do I
Mashallah.
say that with such authority?
Yeah, subhanallah. It's as if like they had learnt all the hadiths in the world. And the fact of the matter is that most of them don't even read Arabic. It's not even, they don't even know Arabic. And they hardly even read one full hadith book.
Okay. Ustazah Muhammad should just say, just ignore.
Yeah, literally just ignore. Because we're not going to change our position. We're happy with the stories. So, Ya Allah. But I do wonder, they don't get tired, do they?
They don't.
They don't, huh? And after a while, you're like, we do our thing, you do your thing. Let's just be happy.
And when I was sitting in Ustazah Banu's class the other day, so she was revealing about the Isra Miraj story. She said something, I can't remember which part, I have to look at my notes. There was part of the review that said that, this one is